A white rabbit has just appeared. And oh dear, he'll better run or he'll be late for a very important date. I am Scented Fawn, a traveler of the fragrant Spacetime. Today, our curiosity will lead us down the rabbit hole and into Wonderland, where we will meet some of its most peculiar places and creatures, accompanied by a matching fragrance. Wonderland is full of perfumed inspiration, leaning a bit more to the gourmand territory. As another Alice, enter Wonderland's fragrant universe, and of course, enjoy. We begin with a garden of daisies, an idle mood, and chapter 1. Alice is sitting with her sister in a beautiful garden, and her sister is reading her book with no pictures inside. Alice is bored, in a state of dormancy somehow, considering in her own mind whether the pleasure of making a daisy chain would be worth the trouble of getting up and picking some daisies. For this image of idleness, a garden of daydreaming daisies, I have brought to you Happy Moments by Tous, or Tous. Of course, the bottle is very fitting, but also the content of the bottle could very well express the feeling of the scene, and it also features a daisy note. And it has this beautiful daisy outside the bottle. So this perfume begins with a soapy and citric sourness, semi-sweet. Mainly a citrus sourness, apparently from the clementine. And maybe an idea of pineapple tartness. Within minutes, the wildflower nuance steps in, and the sour aspects subside to a white chocolate, creamier, milkier, and sweeter side. This combination of wildflowers and the more gourmand aspects, like the savory popcorn, which is not very noticeable. This combination gives to this fragrance a very interesting trait of playful tranquility, if that makes sense. This perfume is very plain and calm. It has no sharp edges, no perplexing qualities. It is quite simplistic, and someone could also describe it as extremely neutral. But I think it describes very well the mood and the attitude of Alice that morning, that began like any other morning, very idle and leisurely. This quiet state gives all the space for some daydreaming, for imagining another world where everything could be and feel like nonsense. And thus, the white rabbit appears. Of course, Alice can't help but follow the white rabbit and ends up falling into the rabbit hole. As she was falling, she looked at the sides of the well and noticed that they were filled with cupboards and bookshelves. She took a jar from one of the shelves as she passed. It was labeled Orange Marmalade. And thus I bring you Dulcis in Fundo by Profumum Roma. This citrus gourmand dream. This is one of my favorite fragrances of all time. So better think of fresh baked sweet dough filled with orange marmalade and sprinkled with powdered sugar. The concentration of oils in this fragrance makes it a syrup dripping masterpiece. It is thick, sweet, doughy, reminiscent of honeyed orange slices sprinkled with magic cookie dust. stunning. The flying jar that Alice found, which was empty and only had the memory of the most delicious orange marmalade, could be very well portrayed perfume-wise with the exquisite magical Dulcis and Fundo by Profumum Roma. The projection and longevity are outstanding. It lasts on me more than 10 hours. Apparently, as much as Alice was falling down the rabbit hole. And suddenly, thump! Down she comes upon a heap of sticks and dry leaves. And the fall is over. The white rabbit is still in sight. And Alice tries to catch up with him while she passes through a long corridor that ends up in a big room with many doors around the walls and a glass table in the middle of the room with a little key on it. All the doors are locked, but Alice manages to find the little door that belongs to the key that was on the glass table. But she soon finds out that she is too large to fit in that door. And when she goes back to the glass table to leave the key, she finds something very, very interesting. The Drink Me potion. And she decides to drink it. According to the book, the Drink Me potion tasted like a sort of mixed flavor of cherry tart, custard, pineapple, roast turkey, toffee, and hot buttered toast. Sweet. By Lolita Lempicka. Here you come. This perfume literally smells like cherry syrup and sugar. It has this sour cherry sweetness, which feels amplified by more sugar. But to achieve the animalic aspects of the Drink Me potion, you have to add some Scandal by Night by Jean-Paul Gaultier. These two perfumes combined create the absolute sugar potion. Scandal by Night adds its animalic, honeyed animalic aspects, thick aspects, to the more watery and thin sweet by Lolita. The sweetness is almost dangerous. The red fruit aspects get multiplied and Alice becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. She will now be able to fit in that little door, but alas, she forgot the key on top of the glass table and now she is too small to reach it. But that's where another magical thing appears. And this is no other than the Eat Me cake. The little cookie which has a label on it that says Eat Me with currants. For this reason, I bring you La Nuit Tresor à la folie by Lancôme. It has this beautiful red color which I adore. This perfume is sweet, juicy, buttery and vanillic delight. The red currants and the pink pepper give to this perfume a wonderful, mischievous and naughty quality. And the bourbon vanilla starts making its baked cookie wonders. It's warmed and hugged by a beautiful tonka bean note and also by a warm benzoin, which gives to this fragrance a mystery and a smokiness. The flowers are mostly prominent in the beginning on my skin, and I mostly get the violet and the rose. It very soon becomes a buttery, fluffy vanilla with a red currant magic touch. Fast forward. Alice has managed to get into that little door, and after many encounters with many creatures of Wonderland, she arrives at the caterpillar's chambers of Wonderland, and she finds the caterpillar smoking a hookah on top of a magic mushroom. "Who are you?" does he ask her. "I hardly know, sir. Just a peasant. At least I know who I was when I got up this morning, but I think I must have changed a few times until then." Black Orchid by Tom Ford. This perfume is the EDT version, but I could see the EDP version quite as fitting. In the beginning, I get a very distinct orchid and ylang-ylang quality, a narcotic and exotic floral vibe, and a sweet and earthy element. The truffle note gives to this blend a very unique and alluring trait because it offers robust chocolate vibes in a massive cloud of florals. It's very similar to the EDP version, but if I had to compare them, I would say that this version is more lucid and transparent. And I also find it a bit more smoky than spicy, which makes it a bit more wearable for my taste. It's always a matter of taste, of course. It is still very dark, very musty, earthy, intoxicating, and narcotic, which makes it perfect for the caterpillar who sits on top of magic mushroom, a bite of which could make Alice change sizes. So, Tom Ford, Black Orchid, the EDT version. Next stop is the Mad Tea Party. For this sweet and crazy place and situation, I have chosen 3 gourmand perfumes that will make you crave for loads of tea and sweets. And the first one is Je ne sais quoi by Teo Cabanel. I don't have a bottle of this, but it's one of my most wanted actually. Since tea is what's being served in this tea party, I definitely wanted to include a fragrance with tea notes inside. And Je ne sais quoi by Teo Cabanel with notes of matcha tea and mate definitely exceeds my expectations. This perfume also has rice inside, which makes it extremely edible with twists and turns between greenness and a buttery toasted goodness. It is edible and aromatic, and this is a combination I find very interesting as of late.
And if you don't care for tea, you could make at least polite conversation, as the martyr said.
Rumor has it that meringue are also served in this tea party, and for this reason I have brought to you Vanilla Cake by Montale. This fluffy vanilla is for me one of the most intriguing gourmands. I think Montale has managed to create a photorealistic vanilla cake perfume with cream cheese icing on top. The reviews for this perfume are very mixed and many people find it synthetic, but that's not the case with me. The meringue note gives to this blend a very nice sweet and sour creaminess. Many people also complain about its longevity and sillage. I have to agree about the longevity. It doesn't last sadly very long. I wish it lasted longer. But I have gotten many compliments with this perfume, which means that there is a certain amount of projection about this perfume. And it's also perfect for layering purposes. To portray the shortbread cookies I imagine on this tea party table, I have brought to you Ginger Biscuit Cologne by Jo Malone. This is cinnamon, gingerbread cookies, butter, and loads of nuts. I think it's one of the most accurate representation of cookies in perfume form. It is spicy, buttery, doughy, and very sweet. Caramel note adds a milky sugar accord to the drier aspects of this blend, which are the nutmeg, the cinnamon, and the nuts. I think all its beauty lies in the ginger, which gives to this blend a spicy fizziness, a hot, warm fizziness, and the right amount of freshness. It is warm, sweet, and very, very addictive. Ginger Biscuit Cologne by Jo Malone. She found herself at last in a beautiful garden among the bright flower beds and the cool fountains. A large rose tree stood near the entrance of the garden. The roses growing on it were white, but there were 3 gardeners at it, busily painting them red, because this ought to have been a red rose tree, and they had put a white one by mistake. And if the Queen of Hearts was to find out, they should all have their heads off. Fast forward again, and Alice now finds herself in the court of justice of this realm. In the middle of the courtroom, there is a table with some tarts upon it. The reason for this session can be found in the following accusation poem. Where is it? The Queen of Hearts, she made some tarts, all on a summer day. The Knave of Hearts, he stole the tarts and took them all away. For this paradox realm of living playing cards, of roses that are white but should be red, and of tarts that constitute a reason for a legal accusation, I have brought to you a fragrance from a very interesting indie house called Kyse or Kyse, I'm not sure how the pronunciation is. And this is Confit de Rose. Confit de Rose is a jammy rose with intense tart and baked dough vibes. It begins with an almost rose liquor quality, apparently from the combination of plum, the red berries and the rose. People have said it reminds them of mulled wine. But very soon it starts becoming drier and achieves a graham cracker quality. With time, the chocolate becomes more distinct and the whipped cream begins to show itself with a fluffy, discreet, sour vibe. It goes through a chocolate chip cookie phase and it arrives at a tart and milk stage. And it stays like this for quite some time. It's very interesting. Not a blind buy material in my opinion, because it's quite peculiar as a scent, but I enjoy it either way, and I think it's a masterfully done gourmand perfume.
Wake up, Alice. Oh, what a long sleep you've had.
Our perfume trip to Wonderland has come to an end, and oh my, what a curious dream we had. It has been a majestic journey for me, and I hope it was the same for you. Until my next video, I send you a true Wonderland kiss and loads of magic cherry hugs.